Welcome to the Lair of Secrets podcast, a podcast exploring the sprawling caverns of gaming, hidden treasures of geekdom, and the unexpected intersections of reality. Today we're talking about books, specifically the books we're reading this summer. My name's Ken Newquist, and I've been spending my days crawling out through the Fallout.
Good more, and I have been writing.
Ooh, I'm sure we're going to be talking about that later, but first...
We will.
Books. And honestly, I should have brought my stack of books up so we could talk about it, because my first book is actually a physical book, and it's great, but I didn't bring it with me, damn it. But
my physical
okay.
books are here.
Yeah. So anyway, my first book is kind of near and dear to my heart. My mom got it for me for my birthday, and it's called Action Park, Fast Times, Wild Rides, and the Untold Story of America's Most Dangerous Amusement Park by Andy Mulvihill and Jake Rossen. And so I grew up in northern New Jersey, and I went to Action Park a bunch of times as a kid. And Action Park was as legendary as it was notorious, because the designer's impetus for this was his elevator pitch was it's the amusement park where you control the rides, you are the ride. And so everything had to be something that you had agency in. It's not just going on a roller coaster, because at the end of the day, the roller coaster is going to get there. I was going to say with or without you, but truth, I guess you could bail out of the roller coaster.
With or without your input.
With or without your input. Also with or without you. But at Action Park, you were actually in charge of things, right? And so you could tell who had been to Action Park when I was in high school, because they would come in and their forearms would be covered with scabs and bandages, and they'd have a bruised face, because when you went there, the rides were kind of dangerous. So the most famous of these was the Alpine Slide. So imagine a huge, long concrete and asbestos slide kind of carved into a mountain, kind of like a bobsled trail. But you're on a little cart, like a little four-wheeled cart with a handbrake, and you control how fast you go as you go shooting down the mountain through curves. Now, I never did this because I valued having my face and skin intact. But if you didn't take the curves well, and you lost control, you would wipe out. And when you wiped out, you were landing on concrete.
Yeah.
So there was a wave pool before wave pools were cool. There was a cannonball. I think it was called the Cannonball Ride. This is the one I remember the most, which it was set up in this old ski resort. And so there were these natural spring-fed ponds. And so I think the average temperature in the summer was like 50 degrees, 55 degrees. And so there was this tunnel that you would jump into, slide down with water running through it, and then you would fall out into the air like 10 feet above the pond, plunge into it, immediately get shocked out of your brain because it's so incredibly cold, and then you have to swim to get out, right? So they would hose you down with cold water
to start you off.
Okay. The most notorious ride was this ginormous loop-de-loop. So it's a closed tube loop-de-loop where it shoots down like, I don't know, a couple hundred feet. You get up enough speed to go around the loop inside of it. This isn't on a ride, right? You are the ride, and then you come shooting out the other side.
Right. Yeah. I actually saw an XKCD that you just reminded me of, that maybe the guy who designed Action Park also designed this thing, which was a loop-de-loop, but for an entire cruise ship. So, set out in the middle of the ocean, so the entire cruise ship would try to go upside down. Because I know that there's a movement, and has been a movement of like, let's not make things super ultra padded, because kids need to just learn that, you can get hurt, and it's possible to get hurt. You want them dying, obviously, or breaking an arm even. But it sounds like Action Park was a little bit more on the danger side.
Oh, yes. No, it was so tragically, several people actually died at Action Park. And there was a documentary called Class Action Park, which I think it's either on Netflix or Max right now, so you can go and watch it. I want to watch it because it's like a classic part of my childhood. And there have been tragedies at all kinds of parks, so it's not necessarily that, it was inherently bad. But it was the mid-'80s, right? Alcohol was available. Poor decisions were made by the people who were doing it. We had a ton of fun, but it was sort of inherently dangerous to be at Action Park.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I can tell you,
I shouldn't say it was inherently dangerous. There was always the possibility of danger.
Okay.
That was, I think, inherent in it Was that because you controlled the ride, right? Like, you were the master of your own destiny, damn it. It's the 80s. That's what we do. No, pass me my beer.
In terms of inherently dangerous or some controlled, more inherently dangerous, I have Ringworld Engineers as one of my books. And the premise is Louis Wu or Lewis Wu, depending upon if you have the audiobook or you read how the name is spelled. And the former speaker to animals, he has an actual name, and another person's puppeteer head back to the Ringworld. Louis and animals are not going back voluntarily. Puppeteer kidnaps them. And I'm interested in it. The Ringworld is not doing well since they last left. It's kind of off center, and of course they have to try and fix it, or all of the people on it will die. And so that'll be. It's an interesting one. I'm reading. Actually, not reading. I borrowed it from the library as an audiobook, and I've been I'm cheating a little bit because I've already started it, as you may have guessed. But I'm doing it on my walks every day, and so it's many hours of audiobook, and I only go out. I go out for less than many hours a day, so it'll take me a little while to get through Ringworld Engineers, but it's interesting. It's definitely so far a product of its time, but it still mostly holds up as well. See why it won the Hugo back then. It's good. What's funny about it so far as well is in the beginning of it, there's some stuff by Larry Niven talking about how he wrote a lot of pieces of this book to address the criticisms by people at WorldCon, which hosts the Hugos. Grad students coming in saying shouting the Ringworld is unstable. And so he's writing this book almost as a refutation or to address all of the things that these criticisms, which was basically, you didn't really see it in the last book, but really all of these things are taken care of over here.
Yeah, you're right. There's the hidden thrusters that are maintaining the orbit, right? Because the Ringworld, as we discussed before, is very, very big, right? It is the diameter of Earth's orbit. So it's not like your puny little Halo Ringworlds that orbit like planets or minor stars, right? Like, no, this is the real deal, folks. This is a megastructure that gave the name like megastructure. So, well, I guess Dyson Spheres did that. But in any case.
The other book, I have a few more books on my list than Ken does, so we're going to switch around a little bit. But the other book that I have on my list right now is Ibenus by Seth Skorkowsky. It's volume 3 of the Valducan series. And the premise of those is there are demons in the world. It's kind of a supernatural sort of thriller sort of thing. There's a group of people, the Valducans. They all have what are called holy weapons. Supposedly, the weapons that they have are within them an angel, and the angel can kill demons.
Okay.
And so there are demons like Rakshasa and werewolves and all these other things like that. But the interesting twist to all of this in the world building is the demon isn't the physical creature. There is a human that has been bitten by something possessed by the demon, and anyone that demon has bitten or marked, it can jump to. So you can kill the body, and it will jump to a different body. Okay. And only these holy weapons can actually, when you kill the body, will it actually also kill the soul of that, or send the soul of that demon to wherever it's supposed to be. And so Ibenus is the name of one of the holy weapons. Each book is named after one of the holy weapons. And so Ibenus is the third one. I'm looking forward to that one. So
Cool.
It's been a good series so far. Each one focuses on like a different character in the Valducans.
Nice. I might have to check that one out at some point. My grand list has like 18 books on it, so I've got my work cut out for this summer. But maybe next summer. So one of the next books on my list is In Our Stars: The Doomed Earth, Book 1 by Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell is probably best known for his Lost Fleet novels, which features awesome, great space opera style battles happening within solar systems, but obeying relativistic rules. So as you're maneuvering your fleets around the star systems, they have to obey the speed of light. They can travel kind of faster than light to go between star systems because hand-wavy space jump stuff. But once they're actually in the system, mechanically interesting. So those were really fun. They've been a staple of my reading list for many, many years. He doesn't have a new one this year. Instead, he's releasing this book. So it's called The Doom Earth, in which the Earth is destroyed, but the heroine of the book is given an opportunity to go backwards in time and prevent its destruction. And so, time travel. I think you had me at time travel, and it's Jack Campbell. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do outside of the Lost Fleet. He's written other books that aren't Lost Fleet, but I haven't read them. So this will be the first time I'm venturing afield. But I have faith. So it sounds like it's going to be fun. It's kind of like that good popcorn movie sort of book, right? That you can just hopefully just kind of rip through. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think I may have heard about Jack Campbell with the Lost Fleet series, but I don't remember if it was... It's been a number of years, so I'm not sure if it was that or another one that I'm thinking of.
If you like Battlestar Galactica, but wish there was a big fleet and they did cool fleety stuff, this is the series for you.
Okay, then it's probably not in this case. This is like one ship is the first book is that. So in opposite of the popcorny book, yes. My next book, The Dark Forest by Liu. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right. It's book 2 of the 3 Body Problem series. There's a different translator for this one, Joel Martinson. So I'm not sure what the story is behind that in terms of like why they switched translators or if there's more than one translation of the original. I don't know. I looked, but the Joel Martinson translation is the only one I found. So it's still part of the Netflix series that I'm pretty sure the Netflix series is already going into Dark Forest. Like
I haven't read them yet.
Portion
so
of things. I haven't watched it either. My father has, but I'm interested in doing it. But with the first book was well written but hard to get through. It's not your typical popcorn book that you can just rip through.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff in there. It does still have a bit of a feel of old school, Larry Niven science fiction, but with a bit more more polish, like more learned over the decades since then.
Yes,
it feels more polished in that sense. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also reading it because of it's like I said, it was hard to get through, and so I may see if I can get the audiobook of it instead of the textbook of it. So we'll see. I'm interested in seeing what happens because the first one was ended weird, and so got to find out what happened.
Gotcha. I enjoyed the series, the Netflix series. It was very well done, brutal in spots, but I can see what you're saying in terms of like the sort of classic sci-fi problem, right? And setting it up and then having the characters interact with that very large, almost cosmic level problem that you have to deal with. Right?
Yeah, and you said something
Thor
there.
Can't punch it.
There that was interesting, which was the characters, because in the book, from what I understand, they took the main character in the book and split them up into like 3 to 5 characters, and so the main character in the book, now multiple characters in the Netflix series, which is probably makes it a lot more and more modern in that sense. So I don't know why I keep saying modern because it was written fairly recently. But yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, and it probably
Fairly
helps to
recently,
avoid like
I think about 10 years ago or so. I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, probably helps to avoid like the info dump or one character, like when you have that your point of view when you only have the one point of view character, and that point of view character is really responsible for conveying most of the information, right? That can get I think that can add to the sluggishness
It can.
of the read.
Learn some techniques for hiding the info dump, and we can talk about that later too.
We should.
On the lighter side, though, I understand that you finished Station Eternity, and now we're both reading Chaos Terminal.
Yes, good. Which I thought you had already read it. So cool.
I had started it, and then something in life made me put it down, and I just like putting together this reading list made me go, "Oh, right, I didn't finish that. I need to pick it back up." And so it's been a cozy murder mystery in space, as in some of your notes here.
Yeah, so it was. I have to say, I had the similar. And so this is in no way. So it's by Lafferty. I don't know that we mentioned that.
Right.
So friend of the show, and I really enjoyed it. It just took it was the end. It was the last book. Station Attorney was the last book on my summer reading list in 2023, and then I got bogged down, and I picked it up and I read a little, and I picked it up and I read a little, but during my summer reading list, I'm concentrated, I'm focused. It's like I have a mission to read books, and so I give myself permission just to not do other things, right? And so I revoked that permission apparently after September. So I'd gotten a quarter of the way through it, and then the last week, I just powered through the rest. And it is, I think, true to say that it's a nice, cozy murder mystery in space. It's got sort of your Murder, She Wrote, why the main character has murders that happen around her for no good reason. Actually, for a very good reason, but we won't give you any spoilers. But it was really good. It is a cozy murder space mystery, but I will say she kicks it into high gear at the end, and everything came together super, super well. And she just really pulled all the threads together, and it was super fun. And then it kind of returned to its cozy mystery roots in the epilogue. So I'm very excited to get into this book and hopefully read it in less than 6 months.
Yeah, me too.
So you got a collection of short stories?
The Best of Science Fiction, new to me, Best Fiction 2003. It came up in
not a typo, not 2023, 2003.
Nope, not 2023, 2003. Yeah, I had to double check it myself up in my library searches, and but it has it's put together by Karen Haber and Jonathan Strahan. It's got stories by Neil Gaiman, Ursula K. Le Guin, a bunch of others. Those are the two that really stood out to me. And I really do like sci-fi short story collections. That used to be what I would read in high school. I think I went through the entire sci-fi set of shelves at our local library, and I would occasionally pick up the short story collections, not knowing that that's what it was, and was always pleasantly surprised. So
nice. Yeah, we actually had a poll that we were running on Lair Secrets. You should be following us on Dice Camp, because that's where and YouTube. That's where we're posting our polls. But we talked about the length of fiction that you read on your summer reading list, and I'm very much a novels kind of guy. I've actually struggled with novellas because they're kind of short, and I've avoided short stories because for whatever reason I just can't get through them. I feel like it's like eating eating grapes and you get one bad one and you're like, I don't know that I want to eat any more grapes. Or Indiana Jones.
That can happen. Yeah, that can. You it is possible that you're eating a bunch of grapes, reading a bunch of short stories, and then hit a bad one, and you're just I don't know if I want to continue.
Which is stupid. Which is totally stupid, because the next author is not the same author as before. That's the point. But it just kind of kills my momentum. And so, I do like reading short stories, especially when I'm looking for new authors. And so I've gone through JAGs where I just read collections of short stories because they are quick hit and you can kind of get through them. But for my summer reading list, I'm not a fan. So rather than reading science fiction short story collections, I like to read series. And so I've had these series that I read throughout my summer reading list. The next book on my list is Terminus by Peter Cline, which is part of the Threshold series. If you like sort of Men in Black / X-Files, but you want to see regular people dealing with things, this is a good series for that. The first book 14 took place in an apartment building where strange things were happening. It's like the apartment building where, you know, the floor plans don't make sense and weird things are happening, and the inhabitants of the apartment building are trying to figure it out, which leads to some sort of like mythos related horror that's in the in the basement or something. And so it sets up this whole thing. And then the next book kind of like is at a science lab and strange things are happening. And he does an excellent job of kind of like pacing out the strange things so that you then look back and go, right, those were all connected. I understand. You actually laid out all the clues. I should have seen it just like they should have seen it. Then his third book in this series is about graveyards on the moon. So the setup is that like Earth has run out of place to store its bodies. Why not send them to the moon? Right. And so, okay, maybe a little bit far stretched, but how else are you going to get zombies on the moon, which is what the book is actually about. Something happens, meteorite lands on the moon, and alien energies cause the dead to rise. And now all the thousands of people whom we buried on the moon come alive and try and kill everybody who's on the moon. So very much popcorn horror movie. It was a little ridiculous and sort of a little bit out of the vibe of the rest of the series. Threshold is the last one. And so I have read very little of the blurb. I just know that it's the fourth book in the series, and I trust Peter Cline to give a good story and to keep me entertained while I'm reading this book, probably at the beach or something. So I'm along for the ride. I think it's going to probably be more strangeness, more Cthulhu-esque horror, and the characters probably have a lot that they're about to go up against. So
yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of these could be used as good fodder for like a Call of Cthulhu game or a Delta Green game.
Easily.
I could totally see. I could also totally see that third book with the zombies on the moon, almost like something out of the Heavy Metal movie, where the evil thing falls as a meteorite and the dead rise, sort of thing. Wonder if that was kind of inspiration for it. But
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have to admit I've never watched Heavy Metal.
Oh, okay.
So it's I guess that's kind of a geek sin, given.
I would say no. Like there's a certain type of geek that watches like you are a comic book geek, so maybe it is.
It's in my wheelhouse. It's just one of those things. Like there was never a copy where I was. Right?
Yeah.
Like I watched Pink Floyd The Wall, but it's like which friend had it on VHS was basically what it came down to, right?
Gotcha. It's worth a watch. There's some good stuff in there that I still remember. Like Stern, you'll understand it when you see it. But it's also a not family friendly movie.
Yes, that I know.
R-rated cartoon, and there's reasons for that. Again, with some of the stuff like Invincible and stuff coming out, there's more. That's more normal nowadays.
Yes.
I have 2 books left on my current list. Probably, as happened in my last summer reading list, some of these may get swapped out for others, depending upon my whims. But right now, I'm going to try to Red Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson. I know you've read it. I know my dad, who's huge into science fiction, read it. Started it, and I got through the first chapter, and it just hasn't grabbed me. It was kind of a weird start. Seems like it's going to be a very political book. That's the way it feels. Okay. Okay. If I'm able to get into that mindset, then I think I can finish it. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to try again. It's second to the last one on my list. Because I'm kind of avoiding it a little, but I still want to read it. Last one I want to read, but I'm avoiding it because I only have a few left in the series. Steam is part of the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, and I've got more than a handful, but there's still a finite number of them left, and I have enjoyed all of them, and so I'm trickling them out to kind of savor them, and so. This is kind of like when science, Discworld style, starts to become a thing on the Discworld, and I don't know much more than that. But I'm I know I'm going to enjoy it. So
cool. So you all can contribute your ideas for the summer reading list by visiting us at layersecrets.com or following us on Dice Camp or visiting the YouTube channel. We'd love to get feedback on that, but we'll give you the channel information about how to connect with us later. But we do like hearing people's feedback and kind of radiating that back out into the community. So look for more posts on the site too.
Put your own reading lists up, your summer reading lists up, because I'd be interested in seeing those, because I might swap some of my books out for some on those lists.
Indeed. So when I'm not reading books, I'm walking very, very, very long distances.
You are this summer.
So my son and I went on a 20-mile hike for Boy Scouts. He needed it for the hiking merit badge. It's a series of hikes. For his iteration, it was like a 5, 3 10s, a 15, and then 20 is sort of like the capstone. And for us, we did it on the DNL trail between Easton and Bethlehem. And it's 20 miles is a long way to hike.
It is.
It's a nice flat trail. It used to be a canal. And so that's why we do it. And there were a number of people who needed it to complete this merit badge, or will need it in the future. So it's a good thing to knock out. I made some mistakes.
Oh no.
We did this stretch we did the 15-mile hike on here. And when I did it, part of it is paved, and that can be just kind of hard when you're wearing hiking boots. So I thought, okay, well, I'll wear my running sneakers, because they have a lot of padding, so I won't have that problem. And I didn't. What I didn't account for was I've never done anything for 20 miles in these sneakers.
Oh no.
And I didn't do the things that I would normally do when I have my hiking boots, like wearing sock liners and certain other precautions you do. So I got really impressive blisters. Like, oof. Yeah, I got cocky. I thought I knew what I was doing. And I should have listened to the guy who wore hiking boots. But previous me, like, just suck it up and like wear your hiking boots and have like sore feet rather than having
feet is better than blisters.
Yeah. So the blister, and it was one of those things, like I did the appropriate things to prevent them. Like we used KT tape on hot spots, but what I didn't realize was I misinterpreted the hot spot. I thought I had already taken care of it, and I hadn't, and it got progressively worse as the hike went on. And then when I took off my running shoe, and I'm like, I have made very bad decisions. So yeah, 20-mile hike. It is challenging. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad we did it, but I don't think I need to do it again.
I was going to ask, up until you started talking about all the blisters, why didn't you just increase it to 26.1 miles and then you'd have done a marathon hike? But you probably didn't want to do another 6.1 miles with all those blisters.
And, the scouts are starting to drag. It's long.
Yeah.
You do need to, you need to be in reasonable shape for doing this. I mean, it's a steady walk, but, people were getting tired, and it does make for a pretty long day. We did have lunch in Bethlehem, which was very nice. And so we had some nice breaks along the way. And it's a beautiful hike, but, man, it was tough. And I wasn't listening to any audiobooks. I was just, walking along, looking at the scenery, so...
Yep. Been a bit more sedentary, sort of. I've been writing some more, and then procrastinating, and then writing. So I'm more than halfway through the sci-fi fantasy novel writing 3 with the UCLA extension, and it's been really, really good for getting my butt in the chair, which was the original reason I went there. Not as much as I should be, but it's still happening. And it's been good for giving me techniques to improve my writing, ways to think that I hadn't thought of before. And some of it is still writing prompts and other things like that I have read before, but hadn't actually done. And now I actually have to do them. And I'm realizing as I'm doing them, why they're useful.
Gotcha.
And this particular course has a lot of the techniques that was in 1 and 2, but they're more advanced versions of those, and more in depth in a lot of those ways. And I've been really happy with this series of courses, and I'm getting far on things. When I say I was kind of sedentary, one of the things that I've started doing, way back when I started this set of classes was for me to help prime the pump of my creativity. I will go out on 20-minute plus walks and as bored as possible. Like I'll know that I've done it right when I'm not looking at the phone or not listening to a podcast, because when I come back, my brain will be like, I have to entertain myself. And so all these ideas will start popping up into my head. And so that's how I do it, is the walking, because there's too many distractions around the house. Going to the coffee shop does work, but the last time I went, I also got sick. So I'm a little leery of the coffee shops right now.
Gotcha. So speaking of sickness and disease and destruction and the end of the world, that's a nice segue from coffee shop, right?
Right.
Been playing Fallout 4, which I completely blame David. Well, I blame two things. One, the new Fallout series on Amazon, and two, David for getting us to play the Fallout role-playing game, which we did a Campaigns and Coffee on that. You can check it out. So I got back into Fallout, but this time with mods. And so the cool thing about Fallout 4, aside from like kind of getting a hit right in the chest when the intro music comes up, like I didn't realize how emotional it was going to be because I spent so many hours playing Fallout 4. But you know, it's brutal. It's very resource based. Like you're constantly running out of stuff, right? You're always trying to scrap more bullets or more like something, as opposed to just having played Cyberpunk 2077, which is a much faster paced game, and I just have all the things. Like I'm a super high level character in 2077. Fallout, I'm starting out at the beginning, which is even worse. But I decided to do a couple of mods to improve things because it's Bethesda, so they make great games that are also super duper buggy. So
right.
I think I'm going to work on a blog post for this for the lair, so I won't go into overly detailed information about it. But the stuff that I installed was unofficial Fallout 4 patch, which is basically a community patch that fixes a bunch of stuff. Simple Green, which basically allows you to implement different seasons. So I implemented spring because I wanted to do something different, because the normal default Fallout 4 setting in Commonwealth is brown. Yeah, it's brown. It's drab. It gets. I
might install that one if I can change colors, because I have also been playing a little bit of Fallout 4. But you're playing in survival mode as well.
No, I gave up. So it was too hard.
You gave up? Okay. It's
the
hard.
The last time. So survival mode, you have to manage your water, your food, disease. You fight something, it bites you, now you're dying, and you can only save when you find a place to sleep, which was very challenging and fun the first time I did it. But when I started doing it again, it was challenging, but it wasn't as much fun because I'm just not as good at Fallout as I was before. And I just really wanted to play around and experience different things in anticipation of our Fallout game. So then I also installed Aliens of the Commonwealth. In the normal game, there's one alien. In this, it introduces almost aliens as a faction, and they have a base and stuff. Better graphics and weather, introduces new weather effects and just visuals within the game. I'm doing all of this on the PlayStation 5 because I don't have a PC. And it's working reasonably well. Craftable ammo chemistry workshop makes it the ability to craft ammo, which is huge, because I'm always running out of ammo for my guns, and I have no bottle cap, so I can't buy anything. The only problem now is I have no lead. So I have all the components I need, but I can't find lead cans.
How is that different than the crafting system that comes with settlement building?
You can't make ammo.
You can. There are ammo presses and such.
Are there?
You feed it as much junk as you want, and then you have to hook up a terminal to the ammo factory machine, and then you pick which kind of ammo you want to build, and it just automatically just kind of chunks it out and puts it in a hopper.
Okay, so I'll have to check that, because I don't think I did that the first time around. This one allows you to use the chemistry set to make it.
Gotcha.
So the advantage, I guess, is if you're really far away from your base camp. And originally, when I chose these, I was doing it in survival mode. So it's like I wanted to get you clear a settlement. You need some ammo, right? Like, just go to the chemistry set and make some ammo. And then the last one is
sense too.
Yeah. The last one is Stumble Upon Interiors, which basically in Concord and Lexington and a couple of other locations, it turns what would have been just the empty, inapproachable, unenterable buildings in Concord and Lexington.
Like the boarded up.
Yeah, the boarded up buildings. It turns those into things you can actually explore. And so the idea is like, it adds a little bit of randomness to it, where you could just have these chance encounters either in Boston or in these like areas in the greater Commonwealth. So
yeah,
they seem pretty
I
fun.
mean, that makes a lot more sense to me than, oh, say this has a board over the door.
Right.
I only have grenades and Molotovs and axes and nukes, but I can't knock down that boarded up door to
Right.
get inside.
Right. Like it's like the games where you're a superhero, but you can't get over this like 18-inch wall.
Right. Because you can't jump.
My overall goal, and I have a couple of other mods that I'll add to the blog post, but overall, I mean, I've played Fallout. I think this will be like my 4th playthrough, so I wanted to introduce like some variations and figure out just different ways to make the game fresh again. So I think I've accomplished that. But you are coming up with a different Fallout.
It's the reason. One of the reasons you already said was why you're playing Fallout 4. We picked up the Fallout 2D20 TTRPG by Mulvihill. We were like, hey, we really like the Fallout TV show on Amazon. There's a TTRPG over here that looks really cool and a lot like Fallout 4. I reached out to Mulvihill and they sent us the player's guide. I have since bought several other of the books myself. But there's some coolness in there because they really did try to make the TTRPG feel like Fallout 4. Is when you level up, you get a new perk. And the perks are the same perks that are in Fallout 4. They just have they've adjusted what you get according to the rules of the 2D20 system. They've got rules for scavenging. They've got rules for modding your weapons. They've got rules for building and modding robots. And so we've got a fun little crew. We've played our session 0 and we're trying to figure out scheduling. Is the hard part is the scheduling part. We think we may just record a bunch of sessions on a weekend, but even that is being hard to do. So I don't know what we're going to do about that, but I'm planning those sessions now, and hopefully we'll overcome that scheduling monster. We're playing it with our normal crew, plus John Hook of the Modern Mythos podcast, also game designer, writer of several Call of Cthulhu modules books, and all around nice guy. And we had a lot of fun with our session 0, and I'm hoping we can actually get this recorded and out to you guys pretty darn soon.
Yeah, and we are continuing Cyberpunk Red, so we do have sessions recorded that'll be coming out, and then we just need to get back to the next somewhat lethal adventure.
Yeah, editing is really, other than scheduling, editing is the second mutated monster that really kind of bites us as well. So if anyone wants to edit these, me can, when I have forgotten for a while, reach out. Maybe we can figure something out. So thanks for attending our latest Minion and Future Overlord training at layerofsecrets.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit like, hit subscribe, etc. All the rest of our stuff, socials, etc., you can go to layerofsecrets.com and find links to all of that stuff. And we love your feedback. So just shoot us some geeky thoughts, and maybe it'll turn into a show, and we'll see how things go. So thank you, and have a great day.